letting you on stage. Has anybody want to ask something, Mark? Or it's self-explanatory already?
Please ask if you want. Or actually, what people normally do is ask me in private on Facebook. I don't know why, but if you're too scared to ask me in private on Facebook, because I reply to everyone.
No? None?
There you go.
Well, Ilana, sorry for pronunciation. Please come on stage, and she's a co-worker of, she's coming from San Francisco, and she works for a young startup, Silo, and also she trains Lithuanian kids how to perform in music bands. So, go ahead.
Cool, so this is me. I recently restarted using Twitter again. So if you, after you're done communicating on Facebook, feel free to find me on Twitter and send me a message. About me, I am here from San Francisco. Let me see if I can get this full screen. Great, okay, so I'm here from San Francisco. It looks a lot like this. Every single day, glorious and beautiful and wonderful like this. I ended up here in Vilnius because Daniel Ray, who some of you probably know, he's been living here for quite a while, an American, has founded a couple of startups here, and he had founded a new startup and asked me to come visit. So before I get going too far, I did notice on the Facebook page for this event, someone made a comment that I can't handle the winter because I'm from San Francisco, which is actually not true. I'm actually from Minnesota. This is what Minnesota looks like most of the time, so I'll be okay. Okay, so just a little bit about me so you know who I am. When I was in San Francisco, I was working for 2 different organizations, one of which is called Women Corporate Directors. So that's an organization that's working to put women onto corporate boards for companies mostly in California, Silicon Valley area, San Francisco. And then I was also working for the Mission Economic Development Agency. This is an organization that's working to provide bilingual Spanish-English education in finances, so helping immigrants in banking, in taxes, in documents and forms, how to start new businesses, all of that. So just so you know a little bit more about who I am. Okay, so how did I get here? Ironically, I moved from Silicon Valley to Vilnius to work for a startup, which I know is a little backwards. But the startup here is called Xylo. We're doing software for band programs, mostly in the States. So also backwards, I moved from the States to Vilnius to do marketing for the States, which is a nice adventure, I suppose. And the second thing that I'm doing here is working for an organization called ArtSpark, which I'll show you a little bit about here. So I started when I was in high school competing in an activity called Color Guard. And this activity is very common in American high schools. And it was quite an important activity for me growing up. It provided me a community, it gave me a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride, and it's been a really good artistic endeavor for me. So I'll show you this video and then I'll tell you what we're doing here. This is an example here from championships from last year. and the wooden rifles to toss into the air and to manipulate it to dance. So that's an activity that I started doing, and we've started teaching kids here in Lithuania. So we're working with students from the Panevėžys region, from Šiauliai, from Alytus, and mostly all of our students are from outside of those cities. So we're really looking at kids that are living in some small towns or villages who might not have a lot of opportunities for artistic anything, and giving them a forum to explore and to find something that they're proud of and to find some kind of art that they can explore. So these are our kids. They're not quite at the same level, you'll see, but we're still quite proud of them. You see we've got the basics going. These are our students. We took them to Palanga this past weekend. We did a little vacation camp with them. And these are the horn players that we're working with.
1, 2, ready.
I know I'm supposed to be talking about why I stayed here, why I came, was to work for this company and for this opportunity, and why I've decided to stay. I actually moved out here with the intention of being here only for 3 months. I was going to just try it out for the 3 months that I get on a tourist visa, see what I thought, and then go back to the States, maybe make some plans to come out in the spring or the summer if it was a good opportunity. And about 1 month in, I decided that there is so much potential here for opportunity and for growth and for projects and to explore things that I'm interested in that I would be silly to go back to San Francisco. So pending all of my immigration papers in the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to stay permanently. So if anyone knows someone at the immigration office, you can tell them that I'm almost out of my 3 months. I think the other speakers have echoed this as well. One of the things that really strikes me about Lithuania is that, and about Vilnius, is that there's a sense that you can do whatever project you want to do. If I want to start teaching kids this crazy art form from America because I think that it's really important for kids to be able to express themselves artistically, I can start that project. And if I want to start doing political involvement, I can start doing that project. And the opportunity and the freedom here is really incredible and not something that I found in the States. In the States there are a lot more, and in other countries that I've lived in, there are a lot more roadblocks and a lot more obstacles that you have to get around. In here it's just, there's just an energy that allows you to start those projects. I also really like here that there's a community and a group, a lot of whom are young people, but not all young people, who are interested in starting those projects, who say, oh, here's something I see that I would like to improve in this country. And I found a lot of people who say, okay, I find this problem and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make a conference, I'm going to make an event, I'm going to make an organization, I'm going to start a company. And all of that energy is really, really wonderful and addicting. And finally, the project that I have started here has really held me here. The startup company, I could really work from anywhere. I could do that remotely. I could most definitely be back in the States since that's where I'm marketing to. But the idea that I've started a project here and it's something that I care about and something that I'm invested in, of course, is also keeping me here. So, anyone have questions? Yeah.
I got to ask because I also agree that there's a lot of enthusiasm. You can start anything you want.
Right.
But what kind of roadblocks have you come across?
Oh, that's a really good question. What roadblocks? Well, a personal roadblock would definitely be the language. Mm-hmm. I speak very little Lithuanian, and Spanish is my second language, not super useful here. So personally, I think the language makes it quite hard to interact with people who have a limited level of English. Other roadblocks for creating the projects, you have to, well, like anywhere, you have to find the right people. I think you of course will encounter a lot of people who say, oh, there's no possibility, that's not going to happen, that's not, you're crazy, you're this crazy American coming in and saying crazy things, which is true. I am a crazy American coming in and saying crazy things. And so just navigating around those people and finding the people who actually are energetic and care.
And how is that art form called?
Oh, it's called Color Guard, C-O-L-O-R-G-U-A-R-D. Color Guard. The overall activity we call Drum Corps, so D-R-U-M-C-O-R-P-S, Drum Corps.
And it's performing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I guess I didn't talk a lot about it, I just showed you a video. Yeah, Drum Corps, so this is really common in high schools in the States and also in Western Europe. Japan, Canada,
North Korea.
Lithuania coming. There's a couple groups a group out of Guatemala, a group out of Costa Rica, and one out of South Africa. But this will be the first group. These are the first groups here in Lithuania, and anywhere in Eastern Europe. There are a couple groups in Asia as well. And so our idea with this is to just bring this art form, and maybe eventually we'll get to a competitive aspect here, but that's not so important.
Okay, that's all. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's half an hour before the break, so you can save some of your questions. And I'd like to invite Sergey Klimov, a legend of the gaming industry, also a community leader. And I came across him after reading his call to predominantly Russian-speaking gaming community. Guys, come to Lithuania. It's a nice place to relocate your business, to relocate your startup to work here. And he already went through the process, and so he has plenty of ideas. Yeah, you can use the mic and talk as you like, as you wish. I mean, so we can work on. Okay, so Sergey.
Laba diena. The thing is, I came first to Vilnius, I think about 10 years ago, on the invitation of the studio that we were licensing games from. And we came on Saturday morning. It was really freaking cold. I think it was February. They picked us up, and they had a new car. It was a Mini Cooper. And I think every couple of meters we were driving, it was like, and by that time the roads in Moscow, they were already better. Then we made the wrong turn, and we got stopped by police. And they went and they paid the bribe, and we were let go. And I think within those 5 minutes we understood that, this is not really Europe. So Estonia, I know, okay, you can extend sort of, kind of a, little Finland. I don't know about Latvia, but Lithuania, we thought, okay, maybe this is closer to Poland, maybe. And then they started telling us a little bit about the history of the country and the fact that there were a lot of Jewish people, and we never suspected that before. And we thought, shit, I mean, this is like not Pribaltica, this is something different. So the office was pretty gloomy. It was the old sort of Soviet-style institute with running water in the bathrooms and everything. We went for breakfast to the cafe somewhere in the old town, and we had 5 drunken people at 9 in the morning sitting there arguing, and I think some woman was unhappy that she got slapped. And the guy was saying, "Dura, dura," and we thought, maybe not a good place to spend a weekend also. The hotel was nice. We stayed, I think, in Stiklugat with something. There was something pretty posh, but pretty empty. So when we left, we didn't really think we will return. And I had no desire, especially as if you take the train, you go through Minsk. In the Minsk, at that time, you have a 10-minute stop. You're not allowed to leave the train, but you can see the big letter in Minsk. It's pretty, transiting through mortar at that time. So it was pretty surprising that I'm in Vilnius now. But I then moved out of Russia. I went to work in Belgium, then I went to work in Germany, then I went to work in Sweden. And my current studio is a project where I have a lot of people from Ukraine and Russia working with me. So I was looking for a place where I can bring them together and make them comfortable. And we tried doing this in Stockholm. Didn't work for several reasons, but mostly because when you're working with people whom you want to move, you have to also consider their families, their lives. You have to make sure that they can work, that they can integrate into the society, and it's fairly difficult to do in Stockholm. So if you're talking about people who are already, who no longer think that they are Russian or German or Swedish, then no problem. But if you're talking about creative people, then you're not really talking about the business people who are traveling all over the world. Maybe this will be the first trip for the whole family. So we kept looking, and I was thinking about different countries, and then Oleg from Unity suggested we come over and we take a look. So we came over, and I saw a lot of changes. We went to Užupis, and it was me and my friend who runs a pretty large games company in the east of Russia. And I said, wow, this is wonderful. This is like Soho years ago before it became commercial. And he said, shit, graffiti, oh my God. And then Oleg says, well, this is the mayor's house. And I said, well, this is pretty nice. I mean, integrated. Yeah, and my friend said, and he allows the shit to happen next to him? Oh my God, that's a bad mayor. And then we kept walking through Old Town, and I was looking at all the buildings and thinking that you could restore this, and you could make this into a much better thing, and this, and he was looking and thinking, everything is falling apart, the pavement is not proper, and he kept like bumping into the stones as he walked. But the same thing happens in Los Angeles if you walk, because they have those concrete blocks that go up when the palms grow, and so if you don't look there, then you're hitting your Converse shoes. So he was disappointed, I was happy, and I thought this is a good creative space where we can move a lot of people, and these people will have no pressure on them to become locals. And I think this is what really sold me on Vilnius, is that there is no pressure, and Vilnius is full of space, so to say. I thought this before I saw the graffiti, but I thought that Vilnius can accommodate a lot of different people. And then we started talking to the government, and the government was very helpful, at least the guys at Invest Lithuania. They could talk to us on Skype. They would send us information about anything from how to move the car to how to smuggle, something. Well, they didn't tell us how to smuggle, but they said, you could go here, maybe they could do it. So they were like really human, human-to-human interaction. This was really important for us. And then I brought my partners over, and they looked at the city, and they loved it. And then, summer came over. Every city is good in summer, I think. So this is how we moved. We moved in the middle of summer. We found a very nice house with a fireplace built on top of 17th century stables. So like everything has history. You could have this sort of office only in Vilnius because we're downtown, on Vilnius Gatvė, but the house is old, but the environment is new, and so on and so on. So we're really happy where we are. And I was trying to think of how can I how do you look back at the last few months and without offending anyone, tell you what I think about Vilnius and Lithuania. The first thing is that Lithuanians love to complain. This is good for business, Because you know, when Americans go to a hotel, they complain about everything, and the hotel is improving. And when British go to a hotel, they just give it 2 stars out of 10, but leave no comments. So typically, American guests are good for the hotel, and British are not, because the ratings go down, but you don't know what to fix. Like, what was the problem? Lithuanians complaining is good for economy, it's good for service businesses, it's good for cafes, restaurants. Lithuanians don't have a lot of money right now, so when I go for lunch, before me, you already had 200 Lithuanians who came over and said this is expensive, so the guy probably decided not to increase the price. And I'm benefiting from this because I don't, whatever, 25 liters, 30 liters. The bad thing is that I don't think there's this single Lithuania, and Lithuania is just a big collection of different people with different cultures. And for us, we decided that there's the good Lithuania and the bad Lithuania, and there's nothing in the middle. And you have to very quickly figure out where the person is from when you meet someone for the first time. One of the meetings with lawyers, I remember, it was a very big firm here, and the lady who was pitching to us the services, she was busy buying a ticket for theater online as she was presenting to us. And then her boyfriend called, and she said, okay, I have to take this call, it's important. And she went out, and she was like, yeah, bilietas, teatros, whatever. And we thought this is really stupid because we bring money. And at that point, we thought, if this is the biggest and the best law firm in the city, then maybe we're in the wrong city. But then we met a different law firm, and they were almost American in their approach, and we've been very happy with them since. And you're talking about 2 biggest law firms, so we think one is the good Lithuania, one is the bad Lithuania. And the same thing happens in the cafe when you come, and if you go to Žuvynė, I went to Žuvynė, and they have this menu, which looks like it was printed 5 years ago. And if you point to something, they don't have it. So, can I have this? No. And this, no. And this, no. But this, yes. And then he comes back and he says no. and it's, it's on the very, very central. So probably they have enough money to reprint the menus, but they just don't care. I mean, who cares? You don't need that. So this is the bad Lithuania. But then you go to a place like Sweet Root in Užupis, and then they can do whatever you want. And you can bring your dogs, you can bring your children, you can bring the dogs of your children. And the guys move very fast. They grew up in a few months. They're almost booked completely by Fridays and Thursdays. So that's the good Lithuania. And for us, we decided that the survival depends on how quickly we can stop talking to the bad people and focus on the good people. And I think this is also the same for the whole country. If you talk to people who are 25, 27, who went maybe to London or who went maybe to the States and then came back, then you feel, there's a difference between Mark and them in the sense that, yeah, he's British, but he's not British really. He's sort of this global person, and his humor is relevant whether or not you're Lithuanian or you're British. And I think to a lot of younger people here in Lithuania that we work with, we have a lot of fun. We don't even think they're Lithuanian. It never crosses your mind. Oh, this is, he just made a Lithuanian joke. No. For the rest, just forget it. Like, you have to keep terminating your agreements and relationships with stupid people or people who are slow or conservative. Because what I've met in the last couple of months is a lot of people who don't want to face the changes, and they want to stick in some version of the past that doesn't exist. They're afraid of people moving in, they're afraid of gay people moving in, they're afraid of, any changes. And I don't really know how much power they hold, but they still hold some power. And so what is important is I think that the new Lithuanians, they have to fight together to change the whole country faster. If you take Invest Lithuania, this is great, but if you take some of the agencies that they work with internally, then some of those agencies, they just don't care, or they even oppose the things that Invest Lithuania does. So I think what really needs to happen here is some sort of galvanization of this struggle, and all the good people sticking together against all the people who are trying to stop the country from growing or from progressing. The best feature, to summarize, is that Vilnius is very much multicultural, tolerant, and doesn't want to shape you. You can speak Russian, you can speak English, you can speak Polish. Nobody cares. If you go to Pinavia for a cup of coffee, then the lady speaks with one customer in one language, with the second in the second language, and then in the third language, and nobody makes a big fuss about this. If you would do this in Germany, people will be impressed. They will say, "Wow, she speaks English." But here you don't care. And the resumes that we got when we announced recently an open position, it was amazing. It was like, I speak German, I speak French, I speak Spanish, I speak this, I speak that, and it was just the basic position. So really impressive. And I think as long as Vilnius keeps this, Vilnius will keep attracting people from different places with talent. And this is really what you want. You want people with talent to come here, to prosper, to create stuff, and to pay taxes. Bringing expats is a great way of moving the talent into this pot where it will then melt and educate each other and create good stuff. That's pretty much it.
Two questions to Sergey.
Have you seen any conversions from bad to good people? You're saying.
No. I think the part of being a bad Lithuanian is that you're very slow and you're miserable. There's my friend up there who's coming from Minsk, and once we went for, I wouldn't say job interview, I would say just a meeting with a local person, and we thought maybe we will work with that person. And that person started by complaining about everything. Prices, education, the city, the police. And at one moment, he said, the police is not polite enough. I wanted to get drunk, and I asked the police, I said, I want to get drunk here in the street. Can you give me some advice? What should I do so you don't arrest me? And the policeman told him, put the bottle into a paper bag. But if you get so drunk that you're staggering, I will have to arrest you. And he said, this is not polite. I mean, he didn't respect me as a person who was expressing his wish to get drunk on the street. And my friend, he said, well, if you would do this in Minsk, you'll probably get, a fist in the ear or something. And I said, well, if you will do this in Moscow, you get arrested, you lose money, you lose maybe passport, then you have to pay some money to get it back. But he couldn't believe it. And then he said, all right, police is okay, but the food is expensive. We said, well, what is expensive? I don't remember, but like 1 liter of milk is this much, and this is outrageous. And I said, well, 1 liter of milk in Moscow is 5 times this price. Oh my God, no. Yes. And in Minsk it's more expensive. And so we thought this is fun, but then it stopped being fun, because when you live in this condition in your head, then you're becoming very negative. You go to a cafe and everything is great, and instead of going to the bar and saying, hey guys, you've done a great job, thank you so much, we'll come back, you'll just say, yeah, okay, it could be cheaper. And this is not good for business that doesn't motivate people to open more cafes. So I think it's just a diagnosis that you're this sort of, you have your head up your ass, and these people will have to somehow adapt to, but they're not going to move the society, hopefully. Probably they have some power. First time I met Mark was deeply depressing. Because
there was only one time.
Yeah.
The second time never happened.
I saw you on this. But he was you know, he was making good jokes here, and when you read him on Facebook, you discover that he's proactive, that he has some ideas. But I was introduced to him and as a political person, and he just said, you know, this is bad, there's a lot of corruption, this is shit, this is shit. And I thought, well, good fit, you know, he's not British, he's Lithuanian. Because I still keep moving people over, and I talk to studios, and you know, they move from pretty strange places. They move from the cities where you know, there's an explosion of a chemical plant and nobody talks about it and children get sick. And you're talking to them and you're saying, well, here it's not going to happen. And then you go for lunch with Mark and he says basically, well, the city is bankrupt and we have an airline sponsored by the city and we have a taxi company sponsored by the city. And the city is, you know, there's no money left in the coffer and it's just going to go down. So yeah, but then I understood, okay, he's a constructive force working to expose problems, and if we elect him, he's going to be there controlling that there's no longer any corruption happening. So this is good. But just, you know, just 2 lunches I think is good with Mark.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce now Jean-Baptiste, and he's also new to Lithuania, new to Vilnius, and Jean works both. He sits on 2 chairs. He works for a venture capital company, and he also works at a startup. And he used to work at one fastly growing startup before coming to Lithuania. So tell your story. And,
okay, thanks, Mindaugas. So yeah. My name is Jean-Baptiste, so as you may guess, yeah, it's a French name, but you can, in Lithuanian, I think it's Jonas Grishkitojas, but you can call me JB, it's easier. And actually, when people say, oh, you're coming from France, and so on, it's like, so they just picture like the Eiffel Tower, but this is where I'm coming from. So it's quite a boring place, and I like to say I'm coming from the region of France where they grow the baguette on the croissant, you know, like the französische Batanas.